What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City video. Today we're going to be looking at 10 players that Manchester City could sign this summer in the transfer window when eventually it does open. Before we crack on with this video though, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content and you want to help support my channel, then please subscribe, press that red button, press the bell and put your push notifications on. I've recently smashed past 5,700 subscribers. Thank you everyone for the continued support. It is much appreciated. My overall aim is to hit 6,000 subscribers ASAP, so any help towards that will be much appreciated. Don't forget also you can find my social media links, which you can find in the description below and popping up on screen if you want to go and follow me on Twitter and Instagram and keep you up to date with the latest happenings in the JSGC world and also in the sporting football world too. Then worthwhile following me on there. Don't forget to also leave your thoughts in the comments below, in particular with your video request. This is a video request that I've done here, so if you've got any video requests for me to do whilst we're in quarantine, then please do let me know in the comments below and I'll see what I can do. Don't forget also leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and also you can find my email in the description below too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries, because we've got daily Manchester City transfer updates coming out when the summer transfer window does open, so you want to stay tuned for that. It's a big sponsorship opportunity for me and also for anyone that wants to sit out there, because I'm expecting City to be really busy, hence I've done 10 players to look at rather than 5. So without further ado, we're going to crack on with this video. So, the first player we're going to speak about is going to be Milan Skriniar, that I'm expecting Manchester City to have some kind of interest in this summer. He's a centre-back, 25 years old, plays for Inter Milan, apparently available for more than £70 million. I'm hearing somewhere between 70 and £90 million. He's a top-class centre-back. We know Manchester City are looking at signing at least one top-class centre-back, and Milan Skriniar may well be that player. He's an organised player, physical, he's good with the ball. I feel like he'd develop really nicely under Pep Guardiola. If I'm honest, I only have one concern, and that's him having to adapt, which I'm sure he's an adaptable person, but he needs to adapt from playing a more reserved defensive style of football into playing a very high line, more attacking football that Manchester City do play. And so his organisational and positioning skills, shall we say, they're going to have to be solid for him to be able to improve, if you get where I'm coming from. But I do feel like a partnership of Skriniar and Aymeric Laporte would be brilliant and would sort out our centre-back issues, if I'm completely honest. And he's a player that I would really like Manchester City to sign this summer. Moving on to the next player, and I'm doing this, by the way, in order of possibility. So the further down we go in the video, I'd say it's more or less likely that City might sign them, but they are contingency signings, and we have seen before City sign contingency players. So yeah. Next player we're going to speak about is going to be Houssem Aouar, a central defensive midfielder predominantly, but can play in central midfield. He's a 22-year-old player, or he's going to be 22 this summer. He's a 22-year-old player, apparently available for £45 million. Apparently there's interest from other clubs there, but Manchester City are leading the way when it comes to this transfer, and it's a transfer apparently that City could get done relatively quickly if we acted quickly. He'd provide really good competition for our midfield. Like I say, he can play central defensive midfield, he can play holding, he can play further forward too, sit at the top of a midfield three, he can sit in the middle like Kevin De Bruyne does, or he can sit, play in the holding role too. He's a very complete midfielder, 22 years old this summer too. He's the right age that Manchester City would be targeting if we wanted a central midfielder. It would mean that Fernandinho would predominantly be a centre-back rather than a defensive midfielder who's playing at centre-back. He'll become a full-time centre-back and we won't see him again, you wouldn't think, at defensive midfield unless we have a big injury crisis. And so that's what's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to mean for the integration of Phil Foden though, with David Silva leaving. Is Houssem Aouar going to be his replacement when we was all expecting it to be Phil Foden to go into that position instead? I don't know where it would leave that. But City are always on the lookout for quality, and Houssem Aouar, we saw what he was capable of when City played Lyon twice last season in the Champions League, and he's a player that was very impressive along with him and Ndombele. So obviously Ndombele's gone to Spurs, and his interest from him to go to Barcelona from Spurs, so City looking at his other central midfield partner, Aouar. And he's a realistic transfer. The right price for Manchester City, the right age for Manchester City. It's a quick transfer. If we wanted a David Silva replacement, it's ready-made for us to go and do that. And we may well do that this summer. Now, the next player, Nelson Semedo. It's one of the transfers that if he doesn't find another club there is a possibility he could become a Manchester City player. So therefore, it's not a guarantee that he's going to sign for another club. And if that doesn't happen, I'd say this transfer is likely for him to go to Manchester City. He's a 26-year-old right back, plays for Barcelona. There's lots of interest in him. Barcelona, they're keen to use him instead of paying cash. They're keen on involving swap deals. We know that they're interested in Cancelo. There was interested in Cancelo last summer, Barcelona, and they're interested again in him this summer. And obviously a straight swap. You'd see Nelson Semedo become a City player, Cancelo become a Barcelona player, and apparently Barcelona were looking for a bit of cash too. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to be involved money-wise here or not, but I've heard around £40 million they're looking for Semedo. Now, Cancelo I would value at roughly the same price that Barcelona are asking for Cancelo and money. Yeah, I'd just stick with Cancelo if that's the case, because I like Cancelo. I think he's a good player. Still got plenty to prove at Manchester City. And if he stays at Manchester City, I'll be honest, I'm mightily fine with that. So yeah, Semedo, it could be done. Like I said, if Tottenham, they're showing an interest in Semedo and a swap deal involving Ndombele that I was just speaking about. I've heard interest from Italy too. Maybe. Like I said, if there's not interest on the other side for anyone else, then he could become a City player and Cancelo goes the opposite way. We'll have to wait and see. Moving on instead, Fabian Ruiz. He's a 24-year-old central midfielder. He plays for Napoli at this moment in time. Apparently, they're looking for £69 million to be able to bring him to Manchester City. He's a little bit more expensive than Houssem Aouar, but he's a good contingency to have in case there's other interest from Aouar. His price goes up or he decides to sign for somebody else, and City, if they are looking at central midfielders, Fabian Ruiz may well be one of them players. However, I don't see City heading in that direction, because let's not forget, the last time we went to Napoli to try and sign one of their players, we ended up getting fobbed off by them in terms of Jorginho, another one of their midfielders. So I can't see us going back to Napoli, because we don't really like how they negotiated that transfer, and I don't see us going back anytime soon to Napoli to try and do that. So yeah, it could be done though if City did want to sign him. The next player we're going to speak about is Dayot Upamecano. He's a 21-year-old centre-back, currently playing for Red Bull Leipzig over in Germany. Apparently they value him at just over £50 million. It's a doable transfer, this one, if you wanted to bring in. We know that City are looking for an experienced centre-back, but they're also potentially looking at a second centre-back, and this would be a more unproven centre-back, a younger centre-back that City would look to integrate into their squad. Now, Dayot Upamecano fits into that perfectly. He's 21 years old. He's got plenty to develop and learn. He'd be the perfect signing, in my opinion, for Manchester City. It's one of them transfers, though, if we want to sign him, we're going to have to be quick. With him being available for that price, I can see there's been quite a bit of interest in Europe. And City, well, we're quite well known for being, well, relatively slow with transfers. And we tend to like to go to Italy because they've got release clauses, so we don't have to negotiate transfers. So we'll see. I'd be amazed if we don't go to Spain to sign players, if I'm completely honest. We do that because, well, like I said, there's release clauses, and City have a good working relationship with Spanish clubs. We've got a very Spanish feel to our club, so we'll wait and see. Ruben Diaz, 22-year-old centre-back from Benfica. They're apparently wanting £87 million. Very expensive. I don't see Manchester City paying it, in particular for a player that is relatively unproven in big European leagues. Yeah, that's just my opinion. City didn't want to pay £80+ million for Harry Maguire, so I don't see us paying even more, £87 million for bringing Ruben Diaz. Don't get me wrong, I love Ruben Diaz at Manchester City. He'd be a player that would develop really nicely under Pep and his systems, and he'd suit our attacking style of football too. It's just the price here that's the big problem. But if City did want to splash the cash, then Ruben Diaz may well be one of them players. Now, next one we're going to speak about is Ben Chilwell, 23-year-old left-back from Leicester City. He's a decent player. Apparently Leicester are wanting around £60 million. It's a tad expensive, but it is doable. He's a homegrown player. Manchester City, they need to be careful over the homegrown quota, so looking out for English players would suit our agenda. I like the look of Leicester's right-back, though, Ricardo Pereira. I think he's a really solid player too, but I think he'd be expensive, and I'd say it's more likely that we'd bring in Chilwell rather than Pereira. But you never know. City have also shown interest in Kaglar Soyuncu of Leicester City, so I'm sure there'll be, if these players are available for transfer, there'll be a lot of interest in Leicester's players, because Leicester's had an outstanding season, got some good quality players in their backline, and other clubs are coming sniffing around, including Manchester City, who could come sniffing if they want a left-back in the form of a homegrown Ben Chilwell, although a tad expensive. Now, next player, a winger, Mikel Oyarzabel. He's a 23-year-old winger that I've spoken about previously on my transfer updates. Plays for Real Sociedad, and he's a possible Leroy Sané replacement. Now, I would say it's probably 90 to 10 that Leroy Sané will leave Manchester City this summer, and so we will be looking at a winger to bring one in, and I imagine we'll be able to accumulate a lot of money for Leroy Sané. Now, my problem I've got with Mikel Oyarzabel, and there is definitely interest from Manchester City, by the way, in him, and obviously, like I said before, release clause is €60 million, so it's a doable transfer for Manchester City, is he's not the quickest, and in the Premier League, when you're stretching teams, you're going to have to be quick, but I've never seen him play, so I can't hold judgment. I've just got concerns there that he's not the quickest, and with Leroy Sané leaving, and we've already got Riyad Mahrez and Bernardo Silva, who aren't the quickest of players, but they are very skillful, and they are used to working hard and working in the Premier League, that we're going to go for Oyarzabel, who's used to playing in La Liga, and the systems are different, and he hasn't got the pace there to help him, and being quick, and losing the pace of Leroy Sané, I would ideally like someone that's quick, but there's definitely interest in Oyarzabel, but I'll hold judgment until I see him play, because I'm not an expert on him, and I will back him if Manchester City signed him, and obviously with interest from City and other clubs too around Europe in him, there's obviously quality there, but with the pace of Leroy Sané being lost, I would like to see some more pace. That's just a personal preference though, I'm not the manager. We'll wait and see. Number 9, Jadon Sancho, 20-year-old homegrown player, plays for Borussia Dortmund. We know all about him because he's a former Manchester City player. Not only homegrown in England, but homegrown by the club too. Always a big plus. He would be very expensive. Somewhere near £100 million would be enough money, I reckon, to bring him back to England. I do see Manchester United signing him this summer, though, not Manchester City. But if we wanted to send a statement of intent out there, and Leroy Sané, if we get a good price on him, for near enough the same amount of money, give or take £20 million, we could have Jadon Sancho back. Problem I've got, his attitude, and Pep likes players that work hard, and he likes players that are committed, and Jadon Sancho's shown that he wasn't committed to fight for his place like Phil Foden was. Instead, he's gone and prospered somewhere else. Would City then go back to him like United did with Paul Pogba, or would they hold it against him and say, that ship sailed, we'll look elsewhere? I don't know. But Jadon Sancho's a quality player, and if City wanted to sign him, I'm not going to say no, if I'm completely honest. Now, last player on this list is Kalidou Koulibaly. The same problem we've got with Napoli and negotiations. We know that he's available. I've heard anywhere between 80 towards £100 million. It's a bit expensive for a player that's 28 years old, but he's a really good player and a solid option for us at centre-back. City looking for a top-class centre-back. A well-organised Kalidou Koulibaly would suit me down to the ground, but I just say it's unlikely because City won't go to Napoli and they won't pay near £100 million for players, and this is why these expensive transfers, Sancho and Koulibaly, they're down at the bottom, and we could pick up players like Skriniar for £20 million cheaper for Koulibaly, but we'll have to wait and see with what City decide to do in the transfer market. So there we go, that's been the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below of players that you would like to see Manchester City sign this summer in the positions. I've got another video coming out for later in the week, which is going to be looking at each position that Manchester City may strengthen in the summer, and I'm going to look at 3 players for each of them positions of players that City could sign this summer. So lots of transfer videos to come up. We've obviously got transfer updates too, whilst we wait for the resumption of the season, which I'm sure will more than likely happen behind closed doors, probably within the next 6 to 8 weeks. But yeah, we've got that to look forward to, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget, if you want to help support my channel, then subscribe, press that red button, press the bell and put your push notifications on. My social media links in the description below and pop it up on screen if you want to go and follow me on there. Don't forget also, email in the description below if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, show this video some love, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all again for the next video. So I've been JSGC, I hope you'll have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope you are all staying safe and well at this difficult time, and I'll see you all again for the next video, which will be that Manchester City positions video that I just mentioned. So I'll see you then. Peace. Ciao for now.